So, welcome to the Redevelopment Commission meeting in Bloomington, Indiana for April the 1st, 2024. Could we have a roll call, please?
Deborah Myerson here.
Sue Scampolari here.
John West here.
Deb Hutton here. Can I have a reading of the minutes? Whoops, no, never mind. Staff present, please.
Anna Hansen, hand.
Christina Finley, hand.
Larry Allen, Legal Department.
Roy Aiton, Engineering.
Next on the agenda is the minutes for March the 18th, 2024. If there are any questions or comments from the commissioners, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Seeing us have a first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Next. Whoops.
That's a way to shorten meetings.
35 seconds. Ready, set,
Never
done.
done that before. Do you see the hand? It won't let me go on the OK button.
30 seconds to finish the meeting.
Well, that's a record. Way to go.
Here's the value of consent agendas. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, don't power out. Which device is that referring to? Is that the owl? Or
I have no idea.
I think it's the television, actually.
About to find out.
There's no OK button.
2, 1.
It's a
It's
TV?
the TV.
Yeah, Zoom is still working.
I heard a click.
Thanks.
Or did one of you click it on and one of you click it off?
No.
Nope.
That's a first.
There we go.
So we can still just keep moving? Thanks, you two, very much. Next item is the examination of the claims register for March the 29th, 2024 for the amount of $318,309.63. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. The next item is the examination of payroll register for March 22nd, 2024 for the amount of $43,349.18. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval of the payroll registers for March 22nd, 2024.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Time for the report of officers and committees. Director's report.
No director's report. I am available for comment.
Thanks. Legal report.
No report, but I'm happy to answer any questions the commissioners may.
Treasurer's report.
Jessica McClellan will not be present this evening, so there is no treasurer's report.
Business development update.
ESD is also absent.
This is going to be quick.
I don't see Deb Kuntz on there either for
Deb
Hopewell.
is sick and will not be in attendance.
Whoa,
We're falling apart.
zipping along. And there is no trades district report because he didn't request one, but I think there will be in the next meeting. That takes us to new business. So we'll go to resolution 2432 on page 19. This is the resolution of approval of contract with Ann Chris LLC to secure 714 South Rogers Street. Who will speak to us on that?
Do you want to?
Go ahead.
Oh, sure. So this is just the second half you all had approved last time for the building on Rogers Street to have VET Environmental to do some of the cleanup in the building. This is kind of the second step of that process, which is to secure any entrances that people may be able to access on the first floor and do some additional cleanup of any debris that's necessary there. We anticipate largely this will be using plywood to board up a lot of the windows in the exposed areas. We did receive several quotes. I think did we get 4 ultimately, or was it just the 3 that were responsive? So 444. Ultimately, this was the most comprehensive and also the cheapest with the added services, and so this is the winning bid for this particular thing. And I know that before we had a fairly large, I think $75,000 is what we estimated. This is going to bring it in substantially less than that. We don't anticipate right now further work. We may, I think we're looking into additional lighting, some improvements like that for the site, but this is going to be the next major thing that we have.
Commissioners have questions? I have one, but go ahead.
Yeah, I have one on point number 2 under the now therefore be it resolved. It talks about that amount being paid for from either the 444 account or the consolidated TIF. What determines where the money gets pulled from?
In this case, it's going to be the controller's office, and this is a special case. So if this were a typical building where you had completed the redevelopment already, this would have to come from the 444 account. In this case, because this is an active redevelopment site, it does qualify under the TIF because it's part of the redevelopment. So what we're doing is preserving this building for potential redevelopment. And so under the reading of the TIF statute, section 39, this qualifies for TIF usage. So we're giving the flexibility to the controller to use either account in their determination. So it might make more sense for us just to use a maintenance account in this, or it might make more sense to use the consolidated TIF since it's actually TIF qualified. So that's why I just made it a little bit more flexible for the controller's office.
And what will ultimately make the determination?
I think they'll look at account balances and what we've spent. I think what we had said at the beginning of the year, we had roughly over $2 million in the 444 account. We like to keep that fairly robust. Obviously, it does not replenish at the same rate that the TIF does, with annual pay-ins. And so that's just why we're a little wary of spending it down a little bit too much.
Got it. Thank
Is
you.
there anything that would, in terms of if funds from one versus the other, let's say from the 444 were used, is there anything that would be an impact after that in terms of, the 444 funds were used to do this, so it would have some impact on future actions that might happen on the property?
I don't think so. I don't think it would change it again because of the status of this particular property.
Okay.
We'd still be flexible enough to use TIF for other things to preserve it. As long as it's in the use of redevelopment, it's not just mere maintenance or replacement for a already existing redeveloped site.
Thank you.
I've got a question. I suspect there's a little bit of urgency in getting this done. Why are we pushing the contract out to September 1?
You mean for the date? It's really just for the claims process. So this is from me, just to be really clear, of adding a little bit of leeway. So while the contract goes for that, that's for us to satisfy all parts of the contract, including final payment, not when the services necessarily have to be rendered or when we're asking for the services to be rendered by. It does give a little bit of time for Ann Chris to submit an invoice to us and then allow enough of the 45 days to allow us to pay that, so that we're not having to come back to you all with an amendment just for that aspect of it. But point taken, typically we try to take that tighter. I think that the anticipation here, or the communications that I saw, is that as soon as this is approved and signed, Ann Chris will immediately begin work on the site, and as soon as it's completed, they should be submitting an invoice, and that should be paid, closing it out.
We've had to do that with grants at IU too. Has nothing to do with the grant, nothing to do with the process, the project, the end result, input, output, anything. Has to do with the process afterwards to get the paperwork through.
And I understand the process, but I just want to make sure we push the work along. That's actually the purpose of my question.
Yeah, fair.
I have a question about the plywood. Have they found that plywood is successful in keeping people out? Sufficiently successful? 80%?
I don't know about the percentage. What we have, there's been success, particularly when you're talking about windows as easily as they are broken and things like that. Particularly in this particular case, I think they've been able to pry windows open a little bit more easier rather. I'll try to use grammar at some point in this sentence. They could pry the windows easier, break the windows. Plywood that are screwed into a very solid surface does eliminate some of that and creates just that extra barrier. Now, of course, as with any structure and any security system, if someone is incredibly motivated with the right tools to get into this building, that's something that the plywood's not going to stop them necessarily, but we just want to make it harder.
Right.
Often the plywood's reinforced with 2x4 in the back, so it's not just a slab of.
Yeah.
So what you see from the
plywood.
outside is Can't see that.
It's
backside.
reinforced in the back. so-
Excellent. Thank you. I'll ask for comments from the public or the public online. Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion, please, for Resolution 2433. 32.
I move approval of Resolution 2432.
I'll second it.
I have a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Welcome, Randy Cassidy.
Timing is everything.
The next is Resolution number 2433, approval of assignment and assumption agreement. Who will speak to this?
I can also speak to this briefly. So you all had seen this parking agreement for College Square earlier in the year. I believe it was 2405 is the resolution. We had approved an extension onto this. So there's a parent company involved here, Crawford and Company, and they have restructured Praxis. So the original agreement that we assumed as part of this parking agreement was with Praxis Consulting, Inc., and that was for just a limited number of parking spaces at the College Square building. And we had modified that to extend the time, but also to have an out clause for the College Square building because the convention center project is up in the air. You all had approved that earlier this year. Crawford then just recently reached out to us and said, hey, we're restructuring this. We're creating Praxis Risk Services, Inc. So instead of Praxis Consulting, Inc., Praxis Risk Services, Inc., that we would like to have the agreement assigned to. And so this is a resolution just approving that assignment, essentially, of the new corporate entity that they're creating. No changes, though, material changes to the agreement. There's still all the outlaws. It just changes the formal name of the company and who has the risk.
Thank you. Questions, comments from commissioners?
We still have the ability, if something needs to happen with that property, that within a 30 or 60-day timeframe, we can
Yes.
ask.
Yeah, none of that changes. And we needed to have that in just in case, because we don't know what rate or pace the convention center project's going to go and
Or if it's
whether
going.
this is going to be the site and all that stuff. So we want to have some flexibility.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Whoa, wait, slow down. Other commissioners have questions? I have a question for Director Anna. I'd phoned you this morning with a bunch of corrections. Should I mention them all here to put them on record, or?
You're welcome to. I've talked to Larry about them as well.
We could run through some of them if you want to have them. Not all of them were made, just in terms of a couple of ones. So there were several questions that we had come up in writing. So one of them was about the heading of the resolution, as I recall, and whether that needed to name this specific entity. In this case, the entity is named in the resolution, and since it is named in the resolution, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the title. This is what happens when you have different people bringing different types of resolutions. Sometimes they just look different. I know I've been, for better and worse, some of the author of a lot of resolutions before the RDC, so every once in a while you get somebody else's work and they'll just have a different take on it. But reviewing your comments, President Hutton, and just in terms of, since the name of the company's within the resolution, that's sufficient. There were also some corrections, I believe, and some questions to the exhibit specifically after that. So Exhibit A, there was a typo in the second whereas clause. There was an S, so it said Crawford has created Praxis Risk Services, Inc., a wholly owned subsidiary which will, as S separate entity, that has been corrected to as a separate entity. It's just a typo in the text there. And then also just for clarity's sake, went ahead and noted that the Bloomington Redevelopment Commission, that President Deb Hutton would be signing on behalf of the Redevelopment Commission. Yes, I think those are the corrections to this particular one, and then we'll have corrections to the next resolution as well to talk about.
Okay.
And you have the corrected hard copies for signatures, so.
Great. Comments from the public? Seeing none, I would accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution as presented with the amended changes.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And the next one is 34. Our next resolution is number 2434, Approval of agreement with CSX for the Beeline Trail and multi-use path project for railroad flagging. Who will speak to us about this?
I will. Roy Aiton with City Engineering Department. So this is our Beeline Extension project, something we've been working on as a city since about 2017. We first came to the RDC with it in 2019 for some funding for design. It is for an extension of the Beeline in kind of all of its amenities from its current termination there at Adams Street and continue it all the way to Fountain. So it'll kind of look like the Beeline there. And then we have an additional extension of 3,500 feet of multi-use path that we'll end up putting on Fountain Drive, then all the way up to Crescent, and then connecting to our multi-use path network that's up on 17th Street. Part of the project also is to realign the intersection of Crescent and Fountain Drive, and that has to go back all the way to the kind of the NDOT I-69 project and redoing Vernal Pike and everything like that. We have awarded the contract now to Milestone through NDOT, and construction is ready to begin here in April. Portion of this project is right adjacent to the CSX-owned railroad tracks there between Adams and Fountain. The tracks are owned by CSX, but Indiana Railroad are the ones that leases it and does the work with it. Part of our project then is to coordinate through the CSX to work. We have a little grading to do on their property, and then also just any kind of work that you do within 50 feet of the railroad, you have to have an agreement with CSX. Part of that agreement is to provide flagging for the railroad has a company, and they'll come out and flag the railroad while we're working adjacent to it. They're talking to the railroad people and the dispatch and everything like that. It's a safety measure that we do. We had approved through, I can't remember the resolution, but last year we had a resolution with the agreement for CSX. Now we have the estimate for how much that flagging will cost, which will be an additional $75,000 for the project. That this evening we're asking then just the funding for that $75,000 for the flagging of the project.
Thank you very much. Questions and comments from commissioners?
What's the duration of the project, Rob?
So the construction will go through the remainder of this year, and then there will be some planting at the beginning of next year.
Okay. So the flagging that'll have to occur through CSX is on and off and have to be coordinated.
Good question. Actually, what we have done was with the schedule, we were able to build the project out a little bit better so that we can get all the flagging work done at the beginning. So I think there's like 20, 30 days that we can get done now. And then there'll be a long pause, and then towards the end, we'll come back and pave, and we'll need the flaggers again. So, yeah, we trimmed it down as much as we possibly could.
Okay, that way it won't create any delay in construction by having to.
Yep, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other commissioners? I had a few editorial things, presuming the exhibits and the date, especially on page 41. The now therefore ending in date December 31st, 2024, whereas it looked as used later as May 31st, 2025.
So, yeah, we also had some amendments to this, or amendments from the corrections, really, to this resolution. So, if I may, just run through them. One was actually to the title, President Hutton, that you didn't have necessarily, but there are two "thes" in the title of this resolution, so we went ahead and removed one of those as redundant. If the commission requires two "thes," we'll put it back in, but for the sake of this, I thought we'd take this one out. On the the sixth whereas clause, there's a typo, city staff negotiation agreement, so that was changed to negotiated in agreement with CSX. There was a question about whether there needed to be a resolution. So within that whereas, we said that the RDC approved the agreement on June 20th, 2023 via resolution 2350. There was a question about whether we needed a citation to the exhibit specifically. Not in that case, because the resolution is specifically what authorizes the agreement, so we want the citation there to the resolution. The exhibit is also incorporated into the resolution, so anytime we're citing a resolution like resolution 2350, that includes the authorizing resolution and the attached agreement. So that's all one citation, so that remained the same as written. Similarly with operative clause number 2, there was a reference to.
Let's go back to that one first. If you have it in the last whereas, you have exhibition B. If you have no exhibition A, you can't have an exhibition B. So, and later you do call resolution 2350 exhibit A, labeled, so.
So resolution 2350 was not actually exhibit A to this resolution.
But you have.
It was included, I understand it was included with the packet. The actual Exhibit A to this resolution is the agreement itself. I'm sorry, I maybe misunderstood your comment. But there is an Exhibit A that includes the agreement. It's payable in terms, under the terms of the agreement, which is Exhibit A, which is kind of what we have in operative clause number 2, which does afford the Exhibit B that's allowed for the amended project review form. Typically, I don't include the resolutions that you've done in the past because we have them as part of the record and part of the minutes. So those aren't typically included as a resolution specifically. So we'll just use the agreement. And in this case, it was redundant with the agreement. So you had an executed copy of the agreement. You also had the resolution and an unexecuted copy of the agreement. And I apologize for that confusion, but just to, yeah, it is confusing. And so in the future, we'll try not to do that. And I'm sorry, I misunderstood your comment in what I received, but in this case, Exhibit A really is the executed copy of that agreement is the Exhibit A that is attached to this resolution.
Okay.
And then, unless you have another, operative clause number 4, the date of expiration, to match what is in the project review and approval form. We did kick that to May 31st, 2025, since that will align with the actual project completion date as opposed to an artificial one at the end of December, just in case Roy needs some more time to do some of that paving and flagging work.
I think that's the contract completion date, which is a little bit different than substantial completion date. So the construction work will be done, but typically on an NDOT job, it's another additional 6 months of paperwork that we're working on and invoices and things, so.
And then we could correct. There were also a question about headings of the exhibit, just to make it clear that it's an exhibit and what a resolution it's attached to. We'll try to do a better job in the future of making sure that those are clear so that the packet is understandable to everybody who's trying to look at it, especially when it's long. It gets to be long like this, almost 100 pages. So I think what I sent Christina did correct that to have a corrected heading.
Comments from the public? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of resolution 24-34.
Second?
We're all here, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. In general discussion, Randy, do we understand that in 2 weeks from now, on Monday, April 15th, you will be out of town and unable to Zoom? That's okay, we're just asking because
I'm
she
not
will be...
100% sure if I'll be able to Zoom. The timing will be the only question. I'll have to check and see when sunset is, because that's when the daughter's getting married.
Yeah.
At sunset.
Well,
So-
We still need an in-person quorum, so we won't have
It won't
it.
make
Yeah,
any
so we
difference
can-
if you
won't
can't
make
be
a
here in
difference, 'cause you
person.
can't be here.
Because I'm zooming.
You're Zooming,
Yeah.
so we can't. So, could everyone then look at Monday, April 22nd as a
Fine on that.
replacement? You're here,
I'm fine on that.
I'm here,
22nd is fine.
you're here, you're here. So-
Unfortunately, she moved her, because of circumstances, she had to move her wedding for one day, and it's her second
Okay.
wedding, so I thought about it, but then I thought, no, I should be there.
Yeah, no problem. So, Anna or Christine?
So are you're gonna move a meeting to the 22nd and then your regular meeting is the week after?
It's not. In this case, there's an extra Monday in April, so we wouldn't have a meeting on the 29th anyways. The next meeting would be May 6th.
All right, that makes
May
some
6th.
sense.
And on May 6th, I will be absent.
Well, you can't.
Is there a motion necessary to move the meeting, or just?
We do. We'll just set it and make sure the notices are corrected. So.
So, all
I
agree?
will also be out on the 6th. I'm just saying, as long as we're doing schedule
So,
stuff the next
Monday
few
the
weeks.
6th
Yeah.
of May, you'll be gone, I'll be gone. Will you be here? Will you be here?
I don't know, I haven't gotten there yet. As far as I know, yes.
Don't you care if I'm?
And you're next.
All right.
Obviously not.
It's a cold world, boy, I tell
Yeah.
you. Yes, I'm here.
So, 3 are here. 2, So John and Sue and Brandy don't make any other plans. Two of us will be gone. It's you three in person.
Okay, so April 22nd.
And April 22nd.
Meeting.
If for some reason something comes up and you can't make it, just let us know and we'll happily do the email. Well, I say we. Christina, thankfully, will be
Could you
organized.
also tell John Fernandez, because he has plans to bring an update for the Trades District.
Yes.
So he'll have to put it off a week.
Are you not here at all on the 6th or just here on Zoom?
I'm not at all.
Okay,
Out of state. Out of
so
connection.
Deborah runs that meeting.
I won't be here either.
Good.
On the
We're canceled.
on the 6th, the two of us are totally
So we're down to
gone.
me?
Yeah, it'll
Yeah,
fall to you.
you'll be
Okay.
leading it, and there's with Randy and with John.
I don't know.
Now, if you want, you can borrow this script, but only if you give it back. As John said, it's worth gold. Is there any other business,
Yeah,
new, old, or
I've got
different?
two things.
Go for it.
The controller's not here, so I just would like to get this message back. We've talked quite a bit about getting TIF balances monthly, and it's kind of running its course. I'd like to see us get that. And then the other thing was, and I don't want to paraphrase Randy, but early on this year, didn't you suggest that we get a list of RDC properties and kind of what the status of them are? And I don't think we've pursued that either, so.
Definitely have not received that, and we'll work on that and make sure you get that. Thank you for bringing it up and for the reminder.
Other business? New, old? Staff? With that, could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passed.
I think you.